Regional Healthcare Systems Incorporated versus Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation, case number 95-165CV-ORL-18, held in the offices of HCA Healthcare, One Park Plaza, Conference Room A, Nashville, Tennessee, on March 17, 1995, at the time indicated on the video screen. My name is Jim Davis. I am with the firm of Legal Video Services of Nashville, Tennessee, and I am the videographer. The court reporter is Richard Castillo, in association with Associated Federal Court Reporters in Winter Park, Florida. Counsel will now introduce themselves.
My name is John Cusack. I'm the lead counsel for Orlando Regional Healthcare System, Inc. and Orlando Regional South Seminole, Inc., the plaintiffs in this case.
I'm David Bradford. I'm appearing here on behalf of Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation and defending Mr. Scott for purposes of this deposition.
I'm Robert Potter. I represent Health Trust, Inc. and South Seminole Hospital, Inc.
Present also is my paralegal, Mr. Stephen Schonder.
And also present is my paralegal, Sherry Curtin.
Mr. Scott, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd just like to make a brief statement before we begin, pending a review of the transcript and the tape, we are going to be designating at this time, at least, everything confidential material pursuant to the protective order until we've had an opportunity to review it and designate otherwise.
I understand. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Scott. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I don't think I have my green on.
I have a very old green tie on. Please state your full name, sir.
Richard Lynn Scott.
And what city are you a resident of?
Nashville, Tennessee.
And what is your position, sir?
I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation.
And the previous names of that corporation were Columbia Healthcare Corporation, and prior to that, Columbia Hospital Corporation. Is that correct, sir?
I object only to the extent that we're such a merged company that I don't know that that question can be answered in that form.
You founded the company, did you, sir? As a Nevada corporation?
The company's changed names.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know exactly the chain of corporate entities.
Well, the predecessor company was Columbia Hospital Corporation. Is that correct, sir?
Objection, begging ambiguous.
I mean, I don't know what you mean by predecessor.
Did you found a company with the name Columbia in it in 1987 or 1988?
Yes.
And what was the name of that company, sir?
In 1987, I believe it was founded as far as a corporate entity in 1987, and it would have been Columbia Hospital Corporation.
Yes, sir. And then your first hospital was the Hotel Dew in El Paso, Texas. Is that correct, sir?
No.
Which was your first hospital?
The first two, we bought two hospitals on the same day in either June or July of 1988, and they were Sun Towers Hospital and Vista Hills, I think it was called Medical Center at the time.
In El Paso?
In El Paso, right.
Then you bought the Hotel Dew?
Just for clarity of the record, just when you say you don't mean Mr. Scott
No,
personally.
no, I mean Columbia.
Okay.
You understood that, Mr. Scott? Did you?
Well, yes. Okay, and let me also tell you that I wouldn't know the exact entity that bought it.
I understand. But into your corporate family, at least.
Whatever the definition of corporate family is, we purchased Hotel Dew. Would have been in late 1988.
Okay. And since that time, you've bought other hospitals, have you not? Your company has.
The company has, right.
Yes, sir. And you have, throughout this entire period of time, you've been the chief executive officer of the Columbia corporations as they have evolved. Is that correct, sir?
I think the title's always been chief executive officer.
Right. And the chairman of the Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation is now Dr. Frist?
That's correct.
And on the acquisition of Health Trust, will Clayton McWhorter become the chairman?
Yeah, it's chairman or chairman of the board. I don't know the exact title.
But he will become chairman then?
That's right.
Okay.
At closing.
At closing. And when is the closing expected to take place, sir?
I'm not sure.
Would it be in April? Is that probably the earliest?
I don't know the exact date. I don't
What is
I
your
don't know.
What is your best estimate?
I would have to guess.
That'll be fine.
Well, objection to the extent you're asking to speculate.
What is your best estimate of when the closing will take place, sir?
I would guess it would be sometime in April.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Scott, could you give us your educational background, please? College and law school.
Okay. See, I have a bachelor's in business administration from the University of Missouri at Kansas City, and I have a law degree from Southern Methodist University.
What state bars are you a member of, sir?
I was a member of the State Bar of Texas.
Any other states, sir?
No.
You have dropped your membership in the bar?
Well, I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I've not practiced law since I quit, and I'm not sure if I'm still a member or how it works.
In any event, you were licensed to practice law in Texas.
I was licensed, right?
And you were a partner of a law firm in Dallas, were you not, sir?
Yes.
And what was the name of that firm?
When I left the firm, I believe the name was Johnson & Swanson.
And when was that, sir?
In October, well, I left in October of 1987.
Mr. Scott, is it fair to say that under your aegis, Columbia has grown to the largest hospital chain in the free world and in the United States?
Please read that question back.
I'll be happy to repeat it.
Okay.
Is it fair to say, sir, that under your aegis, Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation has grown to be the largest hospital chain in the United States?
I object to the form of the question.
What do you mean by chain?
A corporation owning a number of hospitals.
I object as vague and ambiguous.
Okay, could you repeat the question again?
Yes, sir. Mr. Scott, is it fair to say that under your aegis, Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation has grown to be the largest hospital, the largest corporation owning hospitals in the United States?
What do you mean by aegis?
Under your direction.
Okay. Today, my belief is we're the biggest owner of hospitals in the United States, but I'm not familiar with any other country as far as how many.
Right.
And I'm not entirely familiar with if there would be anybody else that would even be bigger than us.
Yes, sir. Yeah, in the world, you mean?
Well, in the United States, I mean, I've never seen a list.
But you don't know of any corporations larger than you in the hospital business, do you, sir?
Objection. You mean are you asking in the world again?
No, in the United States.
Objection, you mean revenues or numbers of hospitals?
Both in revenues and numbers of hospitals.
I don't know of anyone that is larger in the. There might have some managed care organizations that own hospitals that might be larger than us. I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
Precise.
You don't know. Can you name one?
No, but Kaiser in California might be larger than we are, and they have quite a few hospitals.
Let me show you an exhibit, sir. I asked the court reporter to mark as Scott Exhibit Number 1, a copy of an article in the November 21, 1993 edition of the New York Times. I hand a copy to counsel. Just a moment, Mr. Scott. This has to be marked. I hand you, Mr. Scott, what has been marked as Scott Deposition Exhibit 1, and this is pages 12, 13 through 16 of the New York Times. And I direct your attention, sir, to page 15 of this document, sir. It's numbered on the top right-hand side. Do you have that, sir?
Page 15.
Yes, sir. Would you take a look, please, at the quote in the middle of the page? Quote, "There will be losers, period. Mr. Scott that he expects 30% of the nation's hospitals to close in 5 years. Some will be in Houston." End of quote. Mr. Scott, at or about this time, did you make that statement which appears in this exhibit?
I object on the grounds that I think it misstates what this says here. There are not any quotes on that statement here.
I understand that.
Okay, well, your question indicated. I just wanted to clarify for the record.
No, I want to make clear that it is not a quote.
Okay.
Mr. Scott, is it fair to say that at or about this time you predicted that approximately 30% of the nation's hospitals would close in 5 years?
I don't recall.
You don't recall making that statement, sir?
No, sir.
You have to answer.
No, sir.
Mr. Scott, is the hospital industry in the United States in a situation of tremendous overcapacity?
Objection. It's vague and ambiguous.
Repeat the question.
Yes, sir. Are the hospitals in the United States undergoing a serious problem of underutilization?
Objection, vague and ambiguous.
Could you
I
be
think
more?
that's an unfair question. I mean, what geographic areas are we talking about here? Are you talking about everywhere in the entire country?
Yes.
I wouldn't know.
You don't know? What's the average occupancy rate of your hospitals?
I don't. Is it? Well, I don't know.
You have no idea?
I would have to guess.
What's your best estimate?
Well, it depends on. Well, what do you mean by occupancy?
Occupancy is a percentage of licensed beds.
Is it percentage of licensed beds? I would have to guess that we would be in the 50%.
And that's about average, though, isn't it? And for all hospitals, about 50%?
I don't know.
You don't know? So if you got 50% occupancy, that means that you've got 50% of the beds unoccupied. Is that correct, sir?
No.
What does it mean, sir?
Well, it depends on definition of occupancy, but yeah, you have to take in consideration how the fact that you have more patients during the weekdays than you do on the weekends. And you have to take in consideration you have specific programs that you cannot put patients in those beds. You have to take in consideration that you have outpatient programs that use beds for a portion of the day. So
So it's not an overnight stay, then?
what's the question?
An inpatient, or excuse me, an outpatient user of a bed, by definition, is not then an overnight stay, correct?
I'm not sure what the definition is.
Okay. Is there a growth, sir, of outpatient services by your hospitals?
What type?
All types of outpatient services. There been a growth of that in the last 3 years?
I don't know.
You don't know one or the other?
I don't know if all types of outpatient have grown.
Well, grouping all outpatient services, has that increased or decreased in the last 2 years?
Outpatient visits have grown as a group.
Right. And has inpatient visits declined
For what time period?
the last 2 years?
Depends on the quarter. Some quarters the inpatients have grown, and some quarter the inpatient visits have grown, and some quarters the inpatient visits have not grown.
But taken as a total, have you seen a decline in that for your hospitals
For what time period?
over the last 2 years?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, are you, at the present time, is your inpatient admissions at the same level as it was 2 years ago?
In total numbers or percentage?
Total numbers.
I would, the company's changed.
Well, I understand,
Quite a
sure,
bit, so
because
I wouldn't be
you've
able
added
to-
more hospitals. Let's take it for the same hospitals. Do you see a trend in the hospitals that you own now, that you owned 2 years ago, where outpatient admissions have increased and inpatient admissions have decreased?
I would have to go look at some numbers.
You just don't know, is that right?
No,
got- you got a-
not on that, on the, I don't know based on the way you asked the
Okay.
question.
Mr. Scott, are certain medical procedures that were formerly done on an inpatient basis now being performed on an outpatient basis?
As compared to what time period?
Now as opposed to 2 years ago?
Yes.
And
That's my understanding.
Right, and you see that, you've heard, have you not, that even in Florida, as somebody pointed out to me, it probably is pretty bloody, people are having appendectomies on an outpatient basis. Have you heard anything about that?
I have not.
Have you heard that in Florida, women are having babies on an outpatient basis? In other words, they go into the hospital, have the baby, and don't spend an overnight there. Have you heard that?
Not that I recall.
You don't? Okay. Are there a number of hospitals in the United States, based on your knowledge and information, that are operating less than 50% of capacity?
Not that I specifically know of.
Okay. Are there a number of hospitals in the United States over the last 5 years that have shut down, just closed their doors?
That's my understanding.
Right. And in fact, sir, your company itself has purchased 8 to 10 hospitals and shut them down. Is that correct, sir?
I'd have to say the question again.
And your company itself, sir, has purchased 8 to 10 hospitals, which it has subsequently shut down. Isn't that correct, sir?
In what time period?
Since the inception of the hospital, since the inception of your company.
Let me just think. Yeah, I wouldn't know the exact number, but it'd probably be in the range of 8 to 10.
Okay. But you're
But
not
some of those are replacement hospitals and things of that sort.
and consolidations, right, with other facilities.
We have had consolidations with other facilities.
Right. But you're not the only people shutting down hospitals. A lot of other hospitals have shut down. Isn't that correct, sir?
That's my understanding.
Right. And one of the reasons, getting back to it, Mr. Scott, would you agree that there is some serious overcapacity in the hospital industry?
Objection, vague and ambiguous.
What's your definition of overcapacity?
Hospitals not being used at an optimum level.
And I still object. I'm just not sure what serious overcapacity is.
Okay, say the question again.
Would you agree that there is serious overcapacity in the hospital industry in the state of Florida?
Continued objection.
I'm not sure I understand what serious is. And I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by overcapacity.
Okay. You just don't know, is that right?
I'm not sure I understand the terminology.
Okay. Your company acquired Basic American Medical Incorporated in 1992, is that correct, sir?
Before we go on, I just want to make an objection, kind of leave it as a standing objection. Whenever you refer to your company or the company, I just want it understood by the questioner that because of all the series of mergers and HCA and Columbia merged and formed really a new company. So when you talk about your company, I think it's per se often a vague term. I just wanted to state that for the record.
Well, your company acquired Hospital Corporation of America, is that correct, sir?
My understanding of the entities, at least at the time, was Columbia Healthcare Corporation merged with Columbia HCA company. I can't remember their exact name.
Which was a Delaware corporation.
I have no idea.
But it was a statutory merger, was it not, under Delaware law?
I'm not sure what statutory merger.
Well, aren't you a corporate lawyer? Didn't you practice corporate hospital law, sir?
Objection. I think he stated he's not still a practicing attorney.
I said, did you practice corporate hospital law?
Corporate hospital law? I don't know what your definition of corporate hospital law would be.
Okay, but you can't answer that, is that right?
I was not involved in
Okay.
in legal documents. So.
In any event, were you the chief executive officer of a company called Columbia Hospital Corporation, which in 1992 purchased Basic American Medical Incorporated?
In
So your counsel
I
is
was-
nodding, so I guess it's okay
Well,
to
just,
answer it.
I don't know whether it's correct or not, but at least it's not, it doesn't have the company as a specific company
Sure.
named.
Okay, I'm not exactly sure the right corporate name at the time, but our company merged with Basic American.
Right, and they had hospitals, among other places, in Florida, isn't that correct, sir?
Basic American Medical had, whatever the name of the company
Right.
was at the time, had hospitals in Florida.
And they had a hospital, they had Southwest Florida Regional in Fort Myers, did they not, sir?
That's correct.
And then they had Fawcett Memorial in Port Charlotte.
I don't know if those are the proper names, but
They
they have
are,
hospital.
correct. So represent to you. I'm not trying to mislead you.
Okay. There was a hospital in Charlotte County.
Yes, and then they owned the Kissimmee Memorial in Kissimmee.
If that's the proper name.
Right, and that's, you know where Kissimmee is, don't you?
Yes.
It's Osceola County,
I don't know the geographic areas that well.
but it's just south of Orlando, isn't it?
I don't know the geographic area.
Okay. And then in 1993, Columbia acquired Galen, isn't that true, sir?
In 1993, I'm not exactly sure what our corporate name was, but we did a merger with Galen, and I think it was Galen Healthcare.
And that was formerly the Humana Hospital, isn't that correct, sir?
I don't know. I don't know their history.
Was Galen formerly known as Humana? Was it a spun off? Was it spun off from Humana? You don't know
I
that?
don't know. I don't know the corporate history of Galen.
Okay. In any event, the Galen hospitals were formerly called Humana hospitals. Isn't that true, sir?
I don't know that.
You don't know that?
Objection asked and answered.
Do you know that Galen operated Humana Hospital Kissimmee?
I don't know the names of all the hospitals, and I don't know. I mean, I just don't know the names of all their hospitals.
But you don't know that the Galen hospitals were formerly called Humana hospitals, just to make sure.
Well,
And if I'm confusing you, I don't want to do that, Mr. Scott.
well, I think in fairness to the witness, I mean,
I'm trying to be very fair to the witness.
well, I understand, but I mean, these mergers do not follow exactly on the heels of each other. So whether or not every single hospital that was a Humana hospital was a Galen hospital at the time of that merger.
Well, is it fair to say then that were most of the Galen hospitals, at least formerly known as Humana hospitals?
Sir, I don't know
You don't
what
know
their
that?
names were at the time.
Okay.
I know that they had some hospitals that used the Humana names, but
Right. What-
I don't know I don't know how.
In February
what they-
1993, Humana, which is a large managed care and hospital chain, spun off Galen. Do you recall that, sir?
I don't know exactly the dates and how Galen was formed.
All right, in April of 1993, did you visit with Mr. Carl Pollard, the chairman of Galen, in Louisville?
I know I visited Carl Pollard in the spring. I don't know what month it was.
Spring of 1993?
I'm sorry, yeah, in the spring of 1993.
And that was pursuant to at least the initial discussions of merger, is that correct, sir?
So, okay, can you say the question again?
Well, what was the reason for your going to see Mr. Pollard in Louisville?
My recollection is that I was interested in seeing if they had an interest in selling their hospital in North Miami.
I see. But that at least initiated discussions which ended up where Galen and your company were merged. Is that correct, sir?
I don't know if when I met with Carl Pollard, if there were any discussions about merger. If that's
Whether
the question.
were discussions thereafter, isn't that fair to say, sir?
After the first meeting I had with Carl Pollard, we had later, and we might have at that meeting, that would just be a guess, discussions about merger, but I don't have a good recollection of exactly that. I know what I went to talk about at that meeting.
But you did end up, your Columbia ended up merging with Galen, is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
Okay. And what, they have 96 hospitals or something like that?
I don't know the exact number, but I don't think they had that many.
Okay.
I think it was less than, I think it was around 70.
Okay. And then in 1994, your company purchased HCA, or you merged with HCA. Isn't that true, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Whereby the name is now Columbia/HCA Healthcare Corporation.
Right.
And how many hospitals do you operate at the present time? Not necessarily own, but operate at the present time?
So how many we operate?
Yes, sir.
It would be a little over 200
Okay.
hospitals.
200. And is it fair to say, sir, that you have, if you ranked your states by number of hospitals, Texas is number 1 and number 2 is Florida?
No.
No? You have more hospitals in other states?
I don't know the exact number of hospitals we have in each state, but I think today we have more hospitals in Florida than we have in Texas.
Oh. Look at the map. A bunch of them. Do you have the key to it, Steve? I asked Mr. Castillo to please mark as Scott Deposition Exhibit 2 a colored map of the state of Florida, which is headed Columbia/HCA and Health Trust hospitals in Florida, including hospitals which Columbia HCA is attempting or has attempted to acquire or affiliate with. And would you please mark that? And David, this is, Bob, can I give you that? Bob, you don't have the attachment. We'll have to give that to you. I'm sorry, it's there's a listing behind it. I hand you what has been marked as Scott Deposition Exhibit 2, Mr. Scott. This is the first page, Mr. Scott, is the map of Florida, and it's got numbers of hospitals, and it's keyed to the hospitals on the second page, and it lists the key number, which is referred to then on the first page where the hospital is located, and the entity, which is either Columbia, HCA, or Health Trust, and then the name of the hospital, the beds, the cities, the counties. And according to this, sir, on your acquisition of Health Trust, and it's that was announced, what, November 1994, something like that?
I think the announcement of the merger with Health Trust would have been in October.
Okay. And presumably that will be accomplished in some April, probably. Your best estimate, whatever, soon, right? Yes.
Okay, what's the question?
Yes.
I think it's asked and answered. But
You got to answer yes.
Okay, what's the question?
Okay. Will you then have 60 hospitals in Florida?
Okay, would you repeat the question
Yes,
so
sir.
I can make sure I answer the
Yeah, if
question?
you
you
take
asked?
a look at the Scott Deposition Exhibit 2, let me write that on there. Our paralegal, Steve Schonder, has put on the map of Florida locations of hospitals. Columbia HCA hospitals, Health Trust hospitals, and other hospitals, such as Helen Ellis in Tarpon Springs, John F. Kennedy Memorial in Palm Beach County, and University Medical Center in Jacksonville. Is it fair, sir, to say that on the Columbia acquisition of Health Trust, and together with the Helen Ellis University in Jacksonville and John F. Kennedy, your company will have 60 hospitals in the state of Florida.
I would just like to object before the witness answers that this is a document that we've not seen before, that was prepared by opposing counsel, that I have not had any opportunity to look at and determine whether or not it's accurate. I would just, because of that, state that general objection and caution the witness not to base any answers upon this document we haven't had an opportunity to look at before.
Mr. Cusack, wasn't also discovery limited to an area in central Florida?
I don't believe so.
I believe that it was.
Could you answer my question, please?
In that case, I'd just like to add the objection. I think it may be improper to ask this witness about this document that wasn't produced to us, that it's created by counsel, that we haven't had an opportunity to look at it, and I think it may go beyond the scope of this deposition and certainly discovery in this case. Having said all that, if the witness knows the answer, he can answer.
Okay. First off, I don't know who prepared this or if this is accurate.
Mr. Shannon prepared it.
So my answer is not going to be dependent on this document.
I understand.
And I don't know the exact number of hospitals that we would operate in Florida after the Health Trust merger was completed. I wouldn't know the exact number.
How many hospitals do you have in Florida at the present time?
I don't know the exact number.
You don't. How many Health Trust hospitals are in Florida? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. Give me the slideshow.
Are we finished with this document?
Yeah, I guess. I asked the court reporter to mark as Scott Deposition Exhibit 3, a document entitled Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation, multi-page document. Would you like to look at this while he's marking it?
Just for the record, can I ask, is this a document we produced in this litigation?
No, sir, it is not.
May I ask the source of the document?
I think we can ask the witness that. Mr. Scott, a hand you has been marked as Scott Deposition Exhibit 3 for identification. Can you identify this for me, please?
Let me read it.
Well, to refresh your recollection, Mr. Scott, is this a slideshow which you gave at a function in Orlando for Ponder and Company in February of 1994?
I just object to the extent that the witness has been handled that document, that although the pages aren't numbered, it looks to be a significant number, perhaps.
They weren't numbered in the original, David.
They were? Okay.
They were not.
Okay. I see. It looks like it's at least 40 pages. And,
I think so.
I only object to the extent that having not had an opportunity to review it prior to this deposition, it's almost impossible for anyone to identify whether or not this is a specific slideshow.
If he can identify it, fine. If he can't, fine.
Okay. Just for the record. Sorry, the court reporter tell me again, where did you say this was used?
I said Mr. Scott gave this at a presentation in February of 1994 at a Ponder and Company meeting, I believe was held in Orlando. And he put this up on a screen and then handed it out and discussed these matters. Is that correct, Mr. Scott?
I need to look at it. question?
Can you identify that document, sir?
No.
You've never seen it before?
This document?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if I have.
You don't know whether you have? Pardon me, sir, you've got to answer yes
Oh,
or no.
no. No, I don't know if I have.
You don't know whether you have. Taking a look at page 31 of this document, sir,
Is it, okay, is it numbered?
that's in the bottom right. It's the,
The numbers didn't copy very well, so it's hard to cut off on some of them.
Here, let me hand you mine.
It's
That's a page entitled Significant Markets. You see that, sir?
Yes.
Is Orlando a significant market for your company?
objection. Are you saying in terms of this map or significant, having some other meaning in it?
I'm asking him the question as phrased, and I am not changing it.
Objection, vague and ambiguous.
I'm not sure what a market is.
You don't know what a market is?
You're
Pardon me,
asking for a
sir?
legal definition?
No, I'm asking this document states Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation, significant markets. And it has in the state of Florida, Orlando, Tampa, St. Petersburg, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers, and the Florida Panhandle. And my question to you is, sir, is Orlando a significant market for Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation?
Objection, vague and ambiguous.
Well, I think it also seeks to call for a legal conclusion. I mean, we don't know what the purpose that this was prepared for, the methodology that was used for it. Market definition in an antitrust case involves a legal issue, and I think you are calling for one of the...
I am not asking for a legal conclusion.
Well, you have to by asking the question. There's no way that he can respond without rendering a legal conclusion.
Have you stated...
And may I add that it appears that you're asking to interpret a document he says he hasn't seen before.
Did you ever see this document before?
I don't know.
You don't know. Have you ever told anyone or showed anyone a document that said Orlando was one of Columbia HCA Corporation's significant markets?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay. Direct your attention to page 32 of this exhibit. It states Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation statewide networks. Sir, does Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation have a statewide network in Florida?
I will object because my page 32 says something different. Mine says the mergers.
No, you get the wrong page.
Oh, that's 33. Okay.
Okay, could you repeat the question, please?
Please repeat the question, Richard. Richard, I'll do it again.
Okay.
Have you ever told anyone or showed anyone a document that said for Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation, one of your statewide networks was the state of Florida?
I don't know if we've ever, or if I've ever said anything like that. What I've said is that we're trying to build a statewide delivery system.
In Florida?
In many, many states, including Florida.
Okay. Have you done so?
Well, I don't know what...
Well, are you in the process of building a statewide delivery system in the state of Florida?
Our goal is to build a statewide delivery system. The company's goal is.
All right, have you not
and
accomplished?
Please let him finish his answers.
Go ahead.
But I don't know what you mean by process.
Well, have you accomplished building a statewide delivery system in Florida, or are you still working on it?
I would say we're continuing to work on it.
Okay, and by working on it, what are you planning to do? To buy more hospitals?
Not necessarily. I mean, our goal as a company is to be have all the different services that the different types of buyers of healthcare are interested in.
Okay. So you have
that
not
doesn't-
accomplished that goal yet?
Please let him finish his answers. In fairness to this witness.
So hospitals are one part of our delivery systems.
Are you planning on purchasing any additional hospitals in Central Florida?
I'm not, I don't know what you mean by planning. I don't, can you be more specific?
Have you directed Mr. Joe Swedish to acquire the 1/2 interest in South Lake Hospital in Lake County, Florida?
When you say you, do you mean you, Rick Scott? Or you, the
Yes,
company?
you,
Okay.
Rick Scott.
No.
Do you have any knowledge or information that anyone at the corporate headquarters of Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation has instructed Mr. Joe Swedish to acquire 1/2 interest in South Lake Hospital in Lake County, Florida?
I don't know where that is.
Lake County is directly to the west of Orange County.
Okay, repeat the question again.
Do you have any knowledge or information that anyone at your company has instructed Mr. Joe Swedish to acquire 1/2 interest in South Lake Hospital in Lake County, Florida?
I don't personally know.
You don't know
No,
it?
I don't have any personal knowledge.
Do you have any knowledge or information in connection with that? Have you heard it?
Not that I know of.
Who is Mr. Joe Swedish?
Joe Swedish, I'm not exactly sure of his title, but he's, I believe, a division president
Of Columbia?
of Columbia HCA.
And which hospitals does he run? Well, Winter Park,
Let's see, Winter Park.
Lucerne,
Columbia Park. I think it's Osceola Regional, Central Florida.
that's in Stanford.
I believe so. And I think Daytona. But he might have more, and I'm not.
And
I'm
that's
not
in,
sure.
that's in Volusia County?
I have no idea.
You don't know. For the record, this is the document, the page of the document, which I showed Mr. Scott, which you could not testify in regard to.
I object to that.
And here's the other page. All right, sir. Mr. Scott, is it the goal of your company to have between 35 and 40% of the markets in which it does business in the acute care hospital industry?
Please read the question back.
Question, all right, sir. Mr. Scott, is it the goal of your company to have between 35 and 40% of the markets in which it does business in the acute care hospital industry?
Object. It's vague and ambiguous.
I think it's also calling for legal conclusion. Market definition in any trust case is a legal issue that's an ultimate question for the court.
Please answer the question.
Could you define what you mean by market?
Take a look at exhibit number 1, please, Mr. Scott. It's over here. That's a copy of the New York Times article, sir. November 23, 1993. At page 2, the second paragraph from the bottom, it says, quote, Columbia would like to acquire even more hospitals in Houston, comma, Mr. Scott said, period. It wants 25 to 35% of the market. Did you ever make that statement, sir?
I don't know.
You don't know?
It's-
Mr. Scott, you've got to answer yes or no. You can't nod or
He did
shake
answer
your
the
head.
question. Part of the problem is he answers a question and you ask it again as if it were cross-examination. You can answer it again if you like.
Have you ever told anyone that the goal of Columbia was to get from 35 to 40% of the hospitals in a particular market?
Continued objection.
Same objection.
Not that I know of.
Not that you know. Okay. Is it fair to say, sir, that Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation is the only statewide delivery system presently operating in Florida?
Objection.
Objection. Lack of foundation. Nothing else.
Can you repeat that, please?
Is it fair to say, sir, that Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation is the only statewide delivery system in the state of Florida in healthcare?
Same objection with vague and ambiguous.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand.
You can't answer that question?
No.
You can't. All right. Are you aware of the fact, sir, that Health Trust owns one half of South Seminole Hospital?
I object to
Yeah,
that, because
I think-
that's assuming a fact that's not in evidence, and
Yes.
I believe that the record shows that that is not a fact.
Yeah. Assume something that's untrue.
You answer my question, please.
Can you repeat it?
Are you aware of the fact that Health Trust owns one half of South Seminole Hospital?
Same objection.
objection.
I'm not sure. Okay, say it one more time.
I think I've said it enough, Mr. Scott.
Oh, I object.
On Columbia's acquisition of Health Trust, Mr. Scott, will Columbia succeed to the interests of Health Trust's hospitals in Florida?
Objection. I think that's calling for a legal conclusion.
Absolutely. I think you're asking him to decide what his court is going to decide.
Can you answer that question, Mr. Scott?
Can you repeat it?
I think you heard it, sir.
Oh, please, I object to arguing with the witness.
I'm not arguing with him.
Do you understand the question? Did you
Mr.
understand
Scott, do you have a hospital at Stanford, is that correct?
I think you mean Sanford.
Sanford, I'm sorry.
I'm not exactly sure
At
what.
Central Florida Regional?
I don't know what city Central Florida Regional's in, as far as I know. I know it's in the Orlando area, but I don't know.
Do you know it's in Seminole County?
I don't.
Have you ever visited the hospital?
Yes.
Do you know it's north of Orlando?
I think, yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay. And you also own Winter Park Hospital, do you not?
We don't. We have a joint venture with a tax-exempt foundation, so we don't own Winter Park.
Do you operate it?
We operate it with the tax-exempt foundation.
Okay. You own 50% of it?
I'm not exactly sure the exact terms, but I think it's around 50%, about 50%.
Then you own all of Lucerne Hospital?
That's my understanding.
And then you own all of Osceola Regional down in Osceola County, Kissimmee. Is that correct, sir?
That's my understanding. When you say we own, it might be through a subsidiary corporation.
Right. And you do operate through subsidiaries, do you not, sir?
That's my understanding, but I'm not involved in that part of the company.
I understand. Okay. Are you anxious to obtain South Seminole Hospital in Seminole County, sir?
Objection.
I'm not sure what anxious means.
Well, I think it's also argumentative.
Yeah.
Can you answer the question, please?
Can you repeat it?
Yes, sir. Are you anxious to obtain South Seminole Hospital in Seminole County, Florida for Columbia?
And also, do you mean Rick Scott personally?
No, I mean his company, and
It's
you
the
know
company.
that, Counsel.
No, I did not.
You're fully aware of that. Counsel, you're just trying to delay this deposition. This deposition will be shown to the judge shortly.
I understand, but it's
This
my
is-
understanding that companies don't get anxious, and it's...
Have you ever
You don't have the right to
purchased,
accuse the witness, Mr. Cusack.
Mr. Scott, have you ever personally purchased the hospital?
Personally purchased
Yes.
a hospital?
Well, you took title to the hospital as Richard L. Scott.
Mr. Cusack, that's not the point. The point is you're asking about who's getting anxious.
I'm answering it. I want to know the question. The answer to my
Well, he's
question.
answered this question. He can answer it again.
I might have. I can't remember.
You can't
the
remember.
structure.
Is Columbia, sir, the corporation of which you are the CEO, desirous of obtaining South Seminole Hospital?
What do you mean by desirous?
Do you want to obtain it? Do you want to buy it?
What? I mean, if South Seminole Hospital is part of Health Trust, we're in the process of merging with Health Trust.
And the consequences of which will be what?
I'm not sure what exactly the ownership interest is. So
But if
I couldn't
Health Trust-
answer. I couldn't answer.
If Health Trust does have an ownership interest in South Seminole, will Columbia then assume that ownership interest on Health Trust being merged into Columbia?
Objection. That's calling for an ultimate legal conclusion in this case. he is not qualified to comment on that. It is assuming facts, not in evidence as well.
I join those objections.
Please answer the question, sir.
It's my understanding that Health Trust has an ownership interest in South Seminole Hospital, but I don't know exactly how that works.
Right, but when Health Trust is acquired by Columbia, what will happen to that ownership interest?
Objection?
Yeah, same objection.
Same
Calls for legal
objection.
conclusion.
Answer the question, please.
Health Trust my understanding, Health Trust is merged, I believe, into a subsidiary, so I don't think anything
A
changes.
subsidiary of Columbia?
Yeah, it'll be a subsidiary of Columbia, but it might be a second-tier subsidiary of Columbia.
Okay, thank you. Want to vote on it? Maybe I got it myself. When you will copy this for me. There you go. As the court reporter, please mark as Scott Deposition Exhibit 4, a document from a copy of the Hospital and Health Networks Journal of March 5, 1994. It is a 3-page document. Is this 4 or 5?
That was 4.
Would you take a look at the second page of this article, sir? And the second paragraph, or the last full paragraph, Mr. Scott, on that page, states, quote, Wall Street analysts believe that for-profit systems will increasingly use the strategy of swapping hospitals in markets where they don't have many facilities for hospitals in markets in which they are already building networks. End of quote. Is that a fact, sir? Or no, not. Let me rephrase the question. Has your company, sir, Columbia, swapped hospitals in certain markets with other hospital entities?
I just object to the phrase certain markets.
You want to say that again, then?
Has your hospital swapped hospitals with other hospital entities? For example, Punta Gorda, the Medical Center Hospital in Punta Gorda, for Kissimmee Memorial, with the Adventist Health System Sunbelt, was that a hospital swap?
I'm not sure how that was structured. We have exchanged 2 hospitals with Quorum.
And where were those located?
I don't know the exact cities.
Is it in Florida?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, do you recall the transaction, though, with the Adventists? The Punta Gorda Hospital for the Kissimmee Hospital, do you recall?
I remember that there was a that and I don't know the exact structure, but there was going to be an exchange of our hospital in Kissimmee, and I don't know the exact name, for Florida Hospital's hospital in Punta Gorda, and again, I don't know the exact name.
Okay. For the record, it was Medical Center Hospital in Punta Gorda and then Kissimmee Memorial in Kissimmee. Does that refresh your recollection?
No, oh no.
Richard,
a
you
lot of
gotta say
hospitals.
yes or no.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Have you ever instructed Mr. Joe Swedish to swap hospitals?
No.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge or information, Mr. Scott, that on the morning of Wednesday, January 25, 1995, John W. Hillenmeyer, Executive Vice President of Orlando Regional Healthcare System, met with Joe Swedish at Denny's Restaurant, Lee Road near I-4 and Winter Park, and that during the course of that conversation, Joe Swedish told Mr. Hillenmeyer that a, quote, creative solution for the South Seminole Hospital dispute would be to work out something with St. Cloud.
Please read that back. A little long, it lost me there.
I'll be happy to repeat it for you.
Okay, if you like.
Do you have any knowledge or information, Mr. Scott, that on the morning of Wednesday, January 25, 1995, John Hillenmeyer of Orlando Regional met with Joe Swedish at Denny's Restaurant in Winter Park, and that during the course of the discussion, Mr. Swedish told Mr. Hillenmeyer that a, quote, creative solution, end of quote, for the South Seminole Hospital dispute would be to, quote, work out something with St. Cloud, end of quote?
No.
Do you know, sir, that Orlando Regional owns and operates the St. Cloud Hospital in St. Cloud, Osceola County, Florida?
I don't know the exact name. I don't know the location, but I've heard the name St. Cloud.
Well, you know that Orlando Regional does own and operate a hospital in Osceola County, don't you?
I don't know that for sure.
Do you have any knowledge or information, sir, that on Friday, February 17, 1995, Clayton
Excuse me,
McWhorter...
could you say the dates again?
Yes, February 17, 1995, Clayton McWhorter, in a telephone conference about South Seminole Hospital and Health Trust pending acquisition of Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation, told Gary Strack and Carl Hodges of Orlando Regional that, quote, maybe we, meaning Health Trust and Orlando Regional, could work out a deal with St. Cloud, a swap or some other transaction or arrangement.
Okay, and the question?
Do you have any knowledge or information in connection with that matter?
I object to the form of the
Yeah.
question. It's prolix and confusing.
And may assume facts, not evidence.
Answer the question, please.
I don't know if the question is about a telephone call. I don't have any knowledge.
Do you have any knowledge or information that Clayton McWhorter told Gary Strack and Carl Hodges that perhaps the dispute over South Seminole Hospital could be resolved if Orlando Regional conveyed an interest in St. Cloud Hospital to Health Trust in Columbia?
I don't have any knowledge of that.
Mr. Scott, do you know that the principal competitors of South Seminole Hospital are Florida Hospital Altamont, your Winter Park Hospital, and Central Florida Regional, which your company also owns? Do you know that, sir?
Objection
Yeah.
is assuming facts not in evidence.
Yeah, and I
There are a
object-
lot of facts not in evidence, counsel. That is a stupid objection, and you know that.
No, it is not a stupid objection, sir. You are putting questions to him that are assuming facts. That's an unfair technique of questioning.
And
Mr. Scott.
I object as vague and ambiguous the phrase. principal
Mr. Scott, my
competitor.
question is, do you know who the principal competitors of South Seminole Hospital are?
Okay, that's a different question. That's a fair question.
And although I object, it's vague and ambiguous. It's a principal competitor.
We have a
phrase.
dispute between distinguished counsel. Can you answer the question, Rich?
I don't know who the principal competitors are.
Can you guess?
Well, objection to calling for speculation.
You don't want to speculate, do you, Richard?
No, do you want to know?
Okay.
He doesn't want you to speculate either.
Mr. Scott, is Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation in the state of Florida marketing its services to third-party payers on the basis of a statewide integrated delivery system?
I don't know exactly how we market in Florida, so I really couldn't answer it.
You just don't know?
I don't know how they market down there.
Has Columbia HCA ever told a third-party payer, insurance company or whatever, that if you want to have a contract with one of our hospitals in X location, you've also got to have a contract with another one of your hospitals in Y location, or anything to that effect?
I don't know. I've never heard that.
You've never heard that? Okay. Is it important for a hospital network to have geographic coverage?
Objection. Very ambiguous.
Say it again.
Is it important for a hospital network to have geographic coverage? That is, to have facilities throughout a geographic area?
Important to the hospital or important to the community?
Both.
It depends.
It depends. Direct your attention, sir, to the map of Florida. Scott, Deposition Exhibit 2. Do you know whether any other hospital chain has as many hospitals in Florida as your hospital?
As
your company?
As our company, or as indicated on this map?
As your company.
Okay.
Okay. What's your definition of a chain?
An entity owning 2 or more hospitals.
I don't know of any others that have any other entities that have 2 or more hospitals that own as many hospitals as we own in Florida.
Right. Is it fair to say that second to your company, Columbia Health Trust, would be number 2 with 11 hospitals?
I wouldn't know.
You don't know that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, just for the record, the reason he keeps saying that is because the poor court reporter can only take down things you say orally. So when you nod, although it's shown on the camera, it's not recorded in the
Okay.
transcript.
Richard does the official transcript,
Okay.
Vic, and he has to take it down.
So,
And although we know what you're saying, it's not, can't read it.
Okay.
Huh? No, that's mine for that. The 1 page.
Tell you what, I'm going to run to the restroom real quick.
Sure.
Okay.
Can we take a break, please? I ask Mr. Castillo to mark as Scott Deposition Exhibit 5, a document entitled Columbia Sells 3 Hospitals and Settles Lawsuit. Please read that for me, sir. you read that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Can you identify that for me, please?
No.
Isn't this the copy of the press release that was issued by your company on August 17, 1993?
I have no idea.
You
I
have no
mean, we
idea.
put out, the company puts out a lot of press releases.
Sir, were you sued, your company, that is, was your company sued by Adventist Health System Sunbelt and Adventist Health System Sunbelt Healthcare Corporation in regard to your acquisition of the Humana Hospital in Kissimmee, Florida, and in regard to your ownership of Kissimmee Memorial?
I don't know the names of the hospitals or the names of the entities. So
Well, were you
my
sued-
understanding is we were sued by, or the company was sued, I think, by Florida Hospital. But I don't. Well, I don't even know if they were sued. I mean, I really don't. I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly what went on.
You don't. Did you agree to sell Kissimmee Memorial Hospital to Florida Hospital's parent, Adventist Health System Sunbelt?
It's my understanding is we sold the hospital that Basic American owned in Kissimmee to Florida Hospital.
And was this done because of the assistance of the Federal Trade Commission?
I don't know. I don't know if that's why it was done.
Let me read you the third paragraph, sir. Quote, "We believe the sale of Kissimmee Memorial eliminates concerns the Federal Trade Commission had regarding Columbia's ownership of 2 hospitals in Osceola County." End of quote, said Richard L. Scott, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Columbia. Mr. Scott also commented that, quote, "The sale of Thomasville nearly completes our divestiture plan for the former Basic American properties." End of quote. And then the next paragraph says, quote, I'm quoting the paragraph. Carl F. Pollard, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Galen, added that, quote, "Columbia sold its Kissimmee Hospital in an effort to reduce potential FTC concerns regarding the merger. We were able to settle a lawsuit in the process which enhances our ability to complete the merger between Columbia and Galen on September 1, 1991. Excuse me, September 1, which was 1993 was an answer.
The sale?
The purchase of Galen.
Oh,
Is your question just about what year it was?
No, I'll withdraw the question as to the year. Have I read those paragraphs correctly, sir?
I didn't listen that close.
Okay. Is what I said a fact, sir, or don't you know?
Oh, I object.
Wait.
What you mean is the fact that these 2 paragraphs in the press release a fact, or is everything stated in these 2 paragraphs a fact?
Is the paragraph where Mr. Scott is quoted, is that a fact, sir?
I don't know.
Mr. Scott, you have no knowledge or information that the Federal Trade Commission told you that if you didn't sell Kissimmee Memorial to Florida Hospital, they would bring suit. Are you telling me that, sir?
Please read the question back.
I'll be happy to repeat it. Are you telling me, sir, that you have no knowledge or information that the Federal Trade Commission told Columbia that if it did not sell Kissimmee Memorial to Adventist Sunbelt, which owns Florida Hospital, they would bring suit?
Other than, I'm sure he's only asking about communications you did not have with legal counsel.
Yeah, the only knowledge I would have would be things I discuss with my counsel.
Good point. I asked the court reporter, please mark as Scott Deposition Exhibit 6. Pardon? Keep this. Scott Deposition Exhibit 6, the agreement containing consent order, United States of America before Federal Trade Commission in the matter of Columbia Hospital Corporation and Galen Healthcare, Inc. You mark that as 6, please. Just a moment, sir. Would you please look on it? Okay. I show you this right now, can I hand you the mark to Scott Deposition Exhibit 6. You ever seen that before, Mr. Scott?
I'm going to look at it.
Let me just ask you to take a look at the last page, Mr. Scott, if you would. Is that a Xerox of your signature?
Right there.
Yes, sir.
It looks like my signature, but I mean, what's your question?
I said, is that a Xerox of your signature? And you answered, it looks like it.
It looks like, yeah.
Very good. Do you have no recollection of this,
Of what?
of this document?
I'd have to read it. I mean, I get a lot of documents, so.
Do you recall telling the New York Times, sir, on or about August 1, 1993, that you were going to sue the Adventists for tortious interference?
Objection assumes the fact not in evidence.
Say it again.
Do you recall, in an article published in the Saturday edition of the New York Times, I believe it was August 1st, 1993, that you were going to sue the Adventists for tortious interference because they sued you in the federal court in Orlando in connection with your attempt to monopolize health care in Osceola County, Florida?
Well, hold on. Assumes facts not in evidence, argumentative, vague and ambiguous, harassing to the witness, and any other objections I have to the federal rules.
All right, now that you signaled the witness, can we have an answer,
Yeah,
please?
I object to that, too. It was a clearly improper question, you know.
I object to your signaling. Could you answer the question for me?
You want to state it or read it back?
Yes, sir. Were you quoted in the New York Times following the filing of the lawsuit by the Adventist Health System Sunbelt and Adventist Health System Sunbelt Healthcare Corporation against Columbia and Galen in connection with Kissimmee Memorial Hospital that you were going to countersue for tortious interference?
I object to asking what a document says without showing him the document.
Yeah. I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay. That time you answered, but then you went like that, and you didn't do it both. Thank you. All right, sir. Would you please mark Richard as Scott Deposition Exhibit 6, an article in the Washington Post. I'm sorry, 7, an article in the Washington Post dated March 7, 1994. Mr. Scott, I hand you what's been marked as Scott Deposition Exhibit 7, which is from the March 7, 1994 edition of the Washington Post, headlined, "Hospital Chain Adopts a Bigger is Better Strategy." This appeared at page 1 of the Washington Post and at page A6, column 3. And apparently a subsequent page. Direct your attention, sir. Have you ever seen this article before?
Let me read it. I'll tell you.
Just the first page is sufficient. I'm only going to ask you a question about the first page. Mr. Scott, the second column of this article, the last paragraph, is as follows. Quote, "We, 3 dots, have the goal of owning 100% of the market," end of quote, of Columbia Does Business, comma, Scott told managers at one of the company's Richmond hospitals last month. My question to you, Mr. Scott, is, have you at any time told Columbia managers of your Richmond, Virginia hospitals that, quote, "we have the goal of owning 100% of the market," end of quote, where Columbia Does Business?
No, what we've talked about is the fact that we believe that if I've talked to managers about what we're trying to do is build a delivery system where we have the best price, quality, and service, and thus buyers of healthcare want to use our services.
Do you deny, Mr. Scott, making the statement that I have quoted, quote, "We have the goal of owning 100% of the market where Columbia does business"? Do you deny making that statement, sir?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Central Florida business. I ask Mr. Castillo to please mark Scott Deposition Exhibit 7, a portion of Central Florida business, a publication of the Orlando Sentinel for March 28-April 3, 1994.
Okay, that's Exhibit 8.
I'm sorry. Oh. You're gonna have to look down there. I'm sorry, I only got 3 of them.
Is it okay if I cover up this section?
Sure, that's just says research.
I'm sorry, is there a question pending?
No, I just wanted you to take a look at it for a second. Mr. Scott, would you refer to the second page of the article? I'm sorry.
So where does the article start?
Mr. Scott, you have a copy with highlighting, which is not proper to show you.
Okay.
If I may, can we substitute?
I can hand you mine if I can see the highlighted.
Yeah, here, you can look at the highlighting, but let's remark this. Could we please, Richard?
Just cover up my handwriting there.
Mr. Scott showing you what's been remarked as Scott Deposition Exhibit 7. If you look at the second page, please, sir, the first column. There is about 2/3 of the way down the column, Mr. Scott, if I could point, it's right over there. Quote, "Our goal is to have 100% market share," end of quote, David Colby, Columbia's chief financial officer, said in Orlando recently. End of quote. Do you have any knowledge or information, sir, that Mr. Colby, Columbia's chief financial officer, made that statement in Orlando at or about that time?
I have no knowledge that Mr. Colby made that statement.
Would he be
about that time.
authorized to make such a statement?
We don't. There's no policies regarding what people say.
Okay.
I'd just like to add something to the record. This copy does have a mark on it. There is a line that's underlined. I believe the line.
Yes, for the record, the line, the quote, "Our goal is to have 100% of the market" is underscored.
Yeah,
That is not in the original,
Not
obviously.
okay.
Very good. And Mr. Colby is the chief financial officer of Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation. Isn't that a fact, sir?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, for the record, I don't think that is a sufficient title at this time.
Okay. Thank you, sir. This goes over here. Richard, would you please mark as Scott Deposition Exhibit 9, an article from the Miami Herald, quote, "Mergers changing face of hospital care." You feel left out?
I do.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, Robert. You got one over here, Richard.
I'll just note for the record, there's some handwriting on here.
Yeah, there is. That's how I got it.
And I also note for the record, it's just a terrible copy.
It is awful. Mr. Scott, direct your attention to the bottom of the second column. It says, under the heading or the subheading, question of responsibility, the article states, Scott, the Columbia chairman, acknowledges the problem, but he questions whether it's corporate America's responsibility. Quote, do we have an obligation to provide health care for everybody? Question mark. He says, quote, where do we draw the line? Is any fast food restaurant obligated to feed everyone who shows up? Question mark, end of quote. Mr. Scott, at or about that time, did you make that statement to Greg Fields of the Miami newspaper?
I don't believe so.
You don't have any recollection of it, or you don't believe you said it?
I don't have any recollection, and I don't believe I said it.
Okay. Mr. Scott, is Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation a for-profit corporation?
We're a investor-owned, tax-paying organization.
Are you a Delaware for-profit corporation organized under the Delaware Corporation Law, the for-profit corporation law?
Well, it's a legal conclusion, I guess, but to the extent you know, you can answer.
It's my understanding that we're organized as a Delaware corporation.
A for-profit corporation.
It's also my understanding that there's nothing in there that says whether, I don't know of anything that says whether we're for-profit or not.
Well, you're not organized under the Delaware not-for-profit statute, are you?
It's my understanding that we're not.
Yes, sir. Okay. What's the value of your stock, approximate value of your stock, sir, in Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation?
Mr. Scott's personal holdings?
Yes.
I object to that. I can't think of any proper purpose for asking a question like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the proxy statement.
Well, if it's in the proxy statement, you don't need to ask him.
I'm asking the witness at the present time.
Okay, I object. If you
That has nothing to do whatever with this lawsuit. I think that's just way out of line, Mr. Kucinich.
You have your objection. I asked the witness the answer. The question.
I object. I don't know that he needs to answer that question.
You instruct the witness not to answer?
I think I will instruct the witness not to answer, and if the magistrate deems like that we need to do, we'll supply the information.
Is it a fact, sir, that your stock ownership in Columbia is valued at approximately $200 million?
I object.
Same objection.
You answer the question, please, unless you're instructed to the contrary.
Is that publicly available information to your knowledge? Is that in the proxy statement?
Well, the proxy statement's a year old.
Well, in that case, I do not. I instruct him not to answer that question also.
Do you accept the instruction of your counsel, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have any knowledge or information, sir, that Columbia HCA is considering acquiring any hospitals in Orange County, Florida?
I'm sorry. Please read that back. I got lost.
Do you have any knowledge or information, Mr. Scott, that Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation is planning to acquire, either directly or through one of your subsidiaries, such as Columbia Park, any other hospitals located in Orange County, Florida?
Objection, vague and ambiguous.
I don't know where Orange County is.
That's Orlando.
Well, that's not the only city in Orange County.
Well, Orlando is the county seat.
So what's the question?
Do you have any knowledge or information that your company is planning on acquiring any other hospitals located in Orange County, Florida?
I don't have any knowledge or information regarding that.
Is your question the same in regard to Seminole County?
I presume you mean, is his answer the same?
Is your answer the same in regard to Seminole County?
First off, I don't know exactly where Seminole County is.
Get the map. Let me show you, if I may show him.
Sure.
Mr. Scott, that is Orange County, that is Lake County, that is Osceola County, that's Seminole, that's Volusia, and that's Brevard. All right, sir. My question is, do you have any intention to acquire any hospitals in Osceola County?
I don't know what hospitals are there.
There are 3 hospitals, Kissimmee Memorial in Kissimmee, Osceola Regional, which you already own, in Kissimmee, and St. Cloud in St. Cloud.
Okay, and your question?
Do you have any plans to acquire any of those hospitals that you don't already own?
I don't know of any.
Okay. Is your answer the same in connection with Lake County?
I just want to make one kind of standing objection here, and that is asking the CEO of the company about the company's specific plans in individual counties when there are more knowledgeable witnesses that will be deposed in this case. They're more likely to know the answers to those questions.
I understand that.
I understand. I just wanted to state that.
David, I just am trusting this gentleman's recollection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
I don't know of any plans in the county you just pointed to, whatever that county is.
Have you ever heard of Leesburg Regional Hospital?
I've heard of Leesburg, but I don't know I don't know where it would be.
Well, it's in Leesburg, which is in the western part of Lake County. Do you have any knowledge or information that executives of your company have gone to the officials of Leesburg Regional Medical Center and tried to acquire that hospital?
No.
Do you have any knowledge or information that in September or October of 1993, Sheldon Lutz, an executive of your corporation, sent a letter to Florida Hospital Waterman in Eustis, Lake County, Florida, and asked whether they are interested in selling that hospital to Columbia?
Well, I object. That's an improper question. That is assuming a fact and asking him if he knows a fact that you are assuming.
yeah, I join that objection.
Can you answer my question, please?
I don't have any knowledge of that.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge or information, sir, that your company is planning to acquire any hospitals in Volusia County, Florida?
I don't know what's in Volusia County, Florida.
It's Daytona Beach.
It doesn't help me a whole bunch.
Do you own any hospitals in Daytona Beach?
It's my understanding that we own a hospital in Daytona, if that's the same as Daytona Beach.
Well, it's next to it, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know the geographic areas.
What is your question? Answer the same in regard to Brevard County.
I have no idea what's in Brevard County, but I don't know of any
Who's
plans.
I'm sorry. Who's in charge of acquisitions for Columbia HCA in Florida of other hospitals? Is it Mr. Moen, which is M-O-E-N?
There would not be one person that would be in charge of acquisitions anywhere in our company. I mean,
Who are the people in charge of acquisitions in Florida?
in Florida?
Or
There's
working
no-
on acquisitions in Florida?
Oh, I mean, I don't know.
Is Sheldon Lutz one of them?
I mean,
In charge of
know.
work,
I'd have to
working
guess.
on or in
Working on.
charge of?
Who are the people at Columbia HCA involved in acquiring hospitals in Florida?
I just object begging it is.
I don't know.
Does Mr. Moen have anything to do with that?
Well, Dan Moen, my understanding, his title is he's president of our Florida division.
So would he?
But I don't know, what he's involved in with regard to acquisitions.
You don't. Mr. William Hussey, is he involved in acquisitions?
There's a lot of people in our company that are involved in acquisitions, but I don't know what Bill Hussey does every day, so I couldn't.
Well, who are the people
Let's let him
involved?
finish his answers then.
I'm sorry.
So I don't know. So your question was, is Bill Hussey involved in acquisitions? I guess I don't know, so I don't know.
Who are the people in your company involved in acquisitions of hospitals in Florida?
I don't know. I mean, we have individuals that are involved in development activities, but they're sometimes involved in acquisitions in certain areas, and sometimes they're not. So I couldn't answer you.
Is Mr. William Hussey a valued employee of your company?
I object. Form of the question. More valued than anyone else? Or
I said a valued.
I guess that presumes we have employees that aren't valued, but I'll let Mr. Scott answer it.
Bill Hussey is a valued employee of our company.
Thank you, sir. Same for Dan Moen?
Yes.
Very good. Is Sheldon H. Lutz Vice President of Development of your company?
I don't know.
I didn't know he had this. What's our next number?
10.
Which one was this? This was...
This is 9.
Richard, would you please mark as Scott Deposition Exhibit 10, a letter dated April 8, 1994, to Mr. Royce C. Thompson, President, Florida Hospital, Waterman, from Sheldon H. Lutz, Vice President of Development of Columbia HCA.
Thanks.
Lucky you.
Thank you.
Next one is 11. This one's 10.
This is done.
Yes.
I had you sure it was marked as Scott Deposition Exhibit 10, which is a letter dated April 8, 1994, to Mr. Royce Thompson from Mr. Sheldon H. Lutz, Vice President of Development. Do you have any knowledge or information in connection with this letter, sir?
Can I ask a question? Did these original attachments, are they all part of the letter? Is that the way it was originally?
I'm not certain. I'd be happy to withdraw the last portions.
Okay, because I haven't read this before, I had a chance to read through it, but just a quick glance, I don't see any reference to attachments.
Oh, wait a minute, yeah, wait a minute. Steve reminds me, David, that... Oh, you see the second to last paragraph, David? It says, quote,
Yes.
a version of this structure is being completed in central Louisiana, where Columbia contributed its 4 hospitals in the market plus cash
Right.
in a 50-50 joint venture with the Rapides Medical
Right.
Center. Those articles are enclosed, so they were attached, yes.
Okay. So you're asking if we've seen this letter in this form with these attachments before?
Have you seen the letter before, sir?
Not that I know of.
Did you know, sir, that Sheldon Lutz wrote this type of letter to a number of hospitals in Florida?
Objection to form the question.
I'm not sure what you mean by type of letter.
Well, let me rephrase it. Do you know whether or not Sheldon Lutz sent letters to a number of hospitals in Florida looking forward or looking to an affiliation with those hospitals with your company?
I don't know.
You don't know one or the other?
Mm-mm. No, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Would it surprise you?
I'm not involved, so I don't know what they do. So
All right. Mr. Scott, do you keep a file in your office or with your administrative assistant or secretary in connection with possible acquisitions of certain hospitals?
not that I know of.
Not that you know of?
No.
It's handled by your development department?
What's handled?
Are these files kept in your development department?
I don't know what files they keep.
You just don't know?
No. I don't know what files they keep.
Is physician ownership, sir, an important part of the Columbia HCA healthcare strategy
Physician ownership of what?
of your hospitals? partial physician ownership, not total.
Yeah, physician ownership is part of an opportunity we provide to physicians. I don't know what your definition of important is.
Well, is it part of the policy of Columbia HCA that in certain markets, physicians on the staffs of your hospitals have an opportunity to invest in limited partnerships or in regional subsidiaries?
We don't have a stated policy with regard to providing physicians the opportunity to invest, but in a few markets, we have provided physicians the opportunity to invest in the market, it's not really the market, it's the whatever assets that are in that either partnership or joint venture or corporation, whatever the entity is.
Right, and you've done that in Dade County, have you not, sir?
I think we've done it in Dade County at some of the hospitals,
Right.
but I'm not.
And,
I know early on we did, but
And you recently did it in Brevard County, did you not? Within the last year or so?
what's in Brevard County?
That's Fort Lauderdale.
You mean Broward?
Broward, I'm sorry, excuse me. Thank you, Robert, appreciate it. Broward County.
Yeah, in Broward County, my understanding would be that we gave physicians the opportunity to invest in the facilities we owned in that market.
And do you recall, sir, what the average investment was by a per physician?
No.
Was it what, over or under $100,000? What's your best estimate?
I don't know.
You have no idea?
Well, I mean, no, I don't know. I don't know the average.
Well, as I understood, looking at a proxy statement, there were the minimum investment was $15,000 and the maximum was $150,000, and you could buy increments of $15,000. Does that ring a bell to you, sir?
I don't know what the terms of that corporation are.
Well, you don't know what the average investment is?
No.
You're also doing that with Winter Park, are you not, sir, in Columbia Park
I don't know.
Hospital?
I don't know.
Are you doing it in other places in Florida?
I don't know.
Are you doing-
I'm not involved in that, so I don't know. I don't know where physicians have an opportunity to invest.
Well, you actually started it in El Paso, did you not, sir?
The first market we went into was El Paso, and we allowed physicians the opportunity to invest.
And then you have also subsequently done it, I believe, in San Antonio?
I don't know.
Okay. Does this help you control your costs? That is physician ownership in your hospitals?
Allowing physicians the opportunity to acquire ownership interest helps with regard to getting physicians involved in how a hospital operates day to day.
Have these investments by physicians been profitable for the physicians?
It's my understanding that when they've made an investment, their investment has increased in value, but I'm not sure what you mean by profit.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean. They have increased in value, have they not, sir?
That's my understanding, but I'm not really involved in that, so it would be based on good information.
Okay, thank you. Could you tell me, sir, why you would offer physicians an ownership interest in some markets but not in others?
We would, we would go through the process of trying to make sure that the major assets that you were going to put into the joint venture had been acquired when you did the joint venture, for my understanding, is tax reasons. So that's why, one of the reasons why we've done it in more markets as we've gone through all these different mergers.
Is there some rule or policy of the company, either IRS rule or policy of the company, that the doctors don't get more than 40% of an ownership interest in a hospital or a regional subsidiary?
I think that we allow not only physicians, but we allow local management teams to invest. And I think that the maximum allowable investment for the management team and the physicians as a whole is 20%. And I think the reason is for tax purposes.
I see.
But I'm not involved in structuring those. So.
Okay. Mr. Scott, is it a fact, Mr. Lauder objects to my leading questions, of course, assuming that you're not adverse. When did you first discuss with Clayton McWhorter the possibility of Health Trust being acquired by Columbia HCA?
Objection, since facts not in evidence.
Counsel, if I ask him his name, that's not a fact.
No, but
either.
He has a name, but you're assuming that he's had conversations. Yes, when the person was, presumes there were some.
Have you had conversations with Clayton McWhorter in regard to Health Trust being acquired by Columbia?
Health Trust being merged with Columbia, yes.
Sir. Okay. When did you first have such a conversation?
I think it would be sometime in 1994, but I don't know the exact date.
Will you refresh your recollection, sir, that in February of 1994, Clayton McWhorter on a weekend came to visit with you in Louisville and discussed the possibility of a merger between your company and Health Trust?
No, that wouldn't help. I don't recall.
Well, what's your best recollection of when in 1994 the first discussion took place with Mr. McWhorter?
The first recollection would be I don't know when it would have been. I think it was in 1994 where I met with Clayton here in Nashville.
Do you recall whether it was winter, spring, summer, or fall?
No, and I can tell you, I can't remember if the discussion was about acquiring a hospital or a merger, either.
Do you recall what time of the year it was?
No, I do not.
Okay. I take it Mr. McWhorter has stock in Health Trust?
I don't know that.
You have no idea?
I mean, I'd have to guess, but I would guess that he does, but I don't know that.
Okay. Well, assuming that Mr. McWhorter at least has some stock in Health Trust, is Mr. McWhorter selling stock on the open market, through a brokerage house, different than tendering his stock to Columbia HCA?
Objection, calls for legal conclusion, calls for speculation.
Well, it's also confusing and ambiguous. It's not capable of being answered.
Can you answer the question, please, Mr.
Can you
Scott?
repeat it, please?
Yes. Is there a difference between Mr. Clayton McWhorter selling some of his stock in Health Trust on the open market through a brokerage house and his tendering his stock to Columbia HCA in connection with your merger?
Is there a legal difference?
No. Is there a practical difference?
Same objections.
The practical difference is, Mr. Scott, that you sell your stock on the open market, anybody can buy it, but if you tender your stock to a merging party, that merging party buys it. Isn't that right?
Objection.
I join the objection.
Okay. Can you state a question that I can answer?
Is there a difference, Mr. Scott, you own stock in Columbia HCA, right, sir?
Yes.
And Mr. McWhirter owns stock in Health Trust.
Well, he's already-
Let's assume that,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, I don't know that.
Is there a difference between Mr. McWhirter selling some of his Health Trust shares on the open market? Is there a difference between that and Mr. McWhirter selling his stock or tendering his stock to Columbia?
What kind of difference?
Yeah, I object. False legal conclusion, vague and ambiguous. There's really no reason to be asking that of this witness.
Well, Mr. Scott, isn't it a fact that the Health Trust shareholders are going to exchange their stock in Health Trust for stock in Columbia?
I'm not exactly sure of the entire process, but in the merger transaction, after the merger transaction happens, they will become shareholders of Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation. Now, I have no idea what they do with regard to their stock certificates.
Well, in any event, it's an exchange, is it not? They'll exchange their stock in Health Trust for stock in Columbia. Isn't that right, sir?
Well, I don't know what you mean by exchange, and I'm not. And I mean, I don't know. I know they become shareholders of Columbia HCA Healthcare Corporation, but I don't know what they do with their stock or stock certificates.
Okay. Is that different from selling your stock on the open market where you get cash for it?
Same
On
objection.
settlement with your broker?
Same objection.
Same objections as earlier.
Well, in one case, you receive cash.
Yes.
In the other case, you receive Columbia HCA stock, but
And that's the difference, right?
Well, objection. Those are the only differences in this objection. Calls
there's
legal
lots.
conclusion.
I assume there's lots of differences, but that's one.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Did you, sir, have a meeting with Gary Strack of Orlando Regional on November 29th, 1994?
I had a meeting with Gary Strack sometime in the fall, but I don't know the date.
Okay, but you did meet with him, is that right, sir?
That's correct.
And was this meeting arranged by Joe Swedish?
I'm not sure how it was arranged.
Well, you requested the meeting, did you not, sir?
I'm not sure.
And you met in his office
Yes,
at Orlando Regional Medical Center?
I went to. I don't know what the campus was, so I went to an office building. So I don't know if that was on
And you
that
ended up...
campus.
and you
I went
en-
to his office. What I understand to be his office.
Right, well, yeah, and you... How long did this meeting take place?
Oh, I don't know.
45 minutes?
I don't know. 30 minutes, 15 minutes. I don't know.
In the course of that meeting, sir, did you tell Mr. Strack that Columbia HCA would like to do some managed care contracting with Orlando Regional?
I don't recall saying that.
Was it your desire at about that time that Orlando Regional enter into some managed care arrangements with your hospitals in Central Florida?
His personal desire?
Yes.
I don't.
Is Orlando Regional a highly respected hospital, sir?
Objection.
What's your definition of highly respected?
Well respected in the medical community, well respected by consumers, by managed care providers.
Well, there's no foundation laid here.
Answer the question.
I don't know.
Do you know that it's a trauma 1 unit?
No.
You know that
I don't know that.
You don't know. You never heard that?
I've never heard that.
Okay. Do you know that it does neonatal intensive care?
I don't know that.
Do you know that it's affiliated with MD Anderson Cancer Hospital at the University of Texas in Houston?
I don't know that.
You have no knowledge of that?
He's indicating no.
No, I'm sorry, no.
Mr. Scott, did you tell Mr. Strack in your meeting with him in the fall of 1994 that Orlando Regional was a better health system than the Central Florida Division of Columbia?
I don't know that I said that.
You don't remember saying it, or you don't know whether you said it?
I don't remember saying that. I can tell you that I don't remember what the discussion was about. So
Well, why did you see him?
I don't remember who set it up. I see people. I see many, many, many people every day, and I don't recall what I talked to Gary Strack about, or the purpose of the meeting.
You see people every day, but you see them for a purpose, do you not, sir?
I see them for a purpose, but I might not be able to recall the purpose months later.
So you don't recall the purpose of your meeting with Mr. Strack. Is that true, sir?
That's true.
Okay. But you were there,
I remember being there.
and you don't remember what you said,
No,
and you don't remember what he said,
no,
and you don't remember the purpose of the meeting.
no.
That's the answer.
Very good, sir. Do you know that Orlando Regional has the Arnold Palmer Women's and Children's Hospital?
I don't know that.
Do any of your hospitals in Central Florida have a women's and children's hospital?
I don't know. I mean, as a separate hospital?
Right, separate entity.
Well, what's your definition of Central Florida?
Orange County, Seminole, Osceola, Lake,
Okay.
Brevard, Volusia.
Tell me what hospitals.
Hope.
Tell me what hospitals we have there.
Well, you have your hospital, Osceola Regional, Osceola. You have Winter Park. You have Lucerne. You have Central Florida. You've got your hospital up in Daytona. And you will have South Seminole.
Okay. I don't know if any of those have. I don't believe any of those are women's and children's hospitals, but I don't know if they, as part of those hospitals, have a women's and children's hospitals or units.
Where will you be next week?
Objection. Is there any reason you need to know where he's going to be next week?
I'm curious. I want to know.
I don't think you need to know where he is next week.
You refuse to answer the question?
Yes, he's going to be on vacation.
There's nothing wrong with saying that.
I mean, I know, but you don't
He's
need to.
entitled to
You
a
don't need to know
vacation.
where he's going to be on vacation, though. You asked where, not what he is.
Hope you enjoy your skiing.
I just don't want you questioning him on the slopes.
I'll tell you later on what the next question I was going to ask, but I won't.
Okay.
Do you have any knowledge or information that Joe Swedish told a representative of South Lake Hospital that Columbia would beat any price of Florida Hospital and Orlando Regional Health System for the 1/2 interest for sale in that hospital?
I'm sorry, could you read that back again?
Sure. Do you have any knowledge or information that Joe Swedish told a representative of South Lake Hospital in Lake County, Florida, that Columbia would beat any price of Florida Hospital and of Orlando Regional Health System for the 1/2 interest for sale in that hospital?
No.
Do you have any knowledge or information that Mr. Swedish told this representative of South Lake Hospital that if he didn't get that hospital for Columbia, it would be his job?
No.
Is Columbia buying physician practices, sir, in the Central Florida area?
Didn't we cover this already?
No. It's,
Okay.
one is physician investments. Yeah, this is physician practices.
Okay, I apologize.
Say it again.
Sir, is your company buying physician practices in Central Florida?
I don't know.
You have no knowledge or information in regard to that?
No.
Would Mr. Swedish know about that?
I don't know.
Is he in charge of your Central Florida division?
I think that's the division.
Okay. They have to change the tape.
Okay.
We gotta take some time off.